Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. All right, all right. We live on IG, y'all. I barely do the live on IG, but we gonna keep up with it. Gotta keep up with both. So I'm gonna try to keep up with both y'all. It's kind of hard working the software, so I should be able to see every comment. Let's go. Let's make sure everything good. All right, all right. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so that's what I'm gonna have to do to go live on the iChisel. Okay, let's share this video just to get some people tuned in. Let's get some people tuned in, man. Share with a few people. Let's go, IG. And we looking good. We in there, everything straight. So if you have watched any of my live videos, I am not going to prolong the video any longer than it need to be because I can get a bit long-winded. But I repurpose the content. So if you missed the live, you will catch clips in the next week or so. I will make sure that those are available in the next 3 to 5 business days. Everything turned into business days. It just sound more professional. Yeah, in 3 to 5 business days, dude. Just say 4 days. Just say you'll have it done by Saturday. But what we looking at now is to have this done in the next few days. I've been holding on to a lot of content and haven't been putting it out as fast as I really need to put it out. But today I had a conversation, and the conversation it turned a bit left because this particular person, the conversations we usually have don't get this in depth, and it turned real. So this person had done about 30 plus years in prison, and he came to me with some real shit today. He say, "Man, I'm suffering from anxiety. I'm fucked up. Like prison fucked me up." And I had to think about it like, damn, prison really fucked me up too. And it wasn't the first time that I thought about it, but in that moment, I had to let him know that, like Michael Jackson say, "You are not alone." The effects of prison is real, and I see so many people not able to bounce back, as I say in the title. Um, but to readjust, bouncing back just means to readjust. And even if you have never been to prison, you have been around someone that has done some time, and it may have confused you a little bit. So you are, if you are not keen to some of the things that people from prison do, and you are not paying attention to the differences, it can throw you off a little bit. So when, in all honesty, a lot of us are not trying to go seek therapy or to go talk to someone about this type of thing because we have been told so many times that we have to be strong and you're a man and you should be able to handle things and all of this other stuff. And it's just not the truth. A lot of us are going through a lot of things. I went to a returning citizens event a week or so ago, and it was so many of us in there and we had a good time, and Some of us knew each other, some of us were introduced to each other, but in all honesty, it's no real party. Readjusting to society takes a lot. And if you are not prepared to return to society, then you will find yourself very uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable could have you do something that you really don't want to do. And a lot of us are not prepared for that mentally. So we go through all types of things mentally and we have nobody to talk to because we're supposed to be the strength. We're supposed to have a certain demeanor about ourselves that's not supposed to get us down. But when you go through prison, especially for somebody that's done 16, 20, 25, 30, 35 years, you are going through some of the worst times in your life and you try to normalize it as best you could. You try to say, well, I'm not that bad or it's not that bad, man. And then you start comparing it to what other people doing. Man, I got 20, but he got life. Okay. I got 8 of it done. I'm almost at the halfway mark. You get to the 10 mark. Man, it's 10 done. Now I'm on a downhill. Like you talk yourself into dealing with the situation the best way that you can. And a lot of us that are incarcerated, you cannot you could not get out of that. So it's no way for you to just say, okay, I'm ready to go. So you have to deal with the situation any way that you know how. You have to start making things as good as you can. You start, okay, well, I'm gonna cook up tonight, man. I'm gonna do this, and well, at least I talked to my kids. Well, at least I seen the kids, and you seen your kids for 3 hours this week, and it's like made your week. But this is not a normal thing. Prison is not a normal thing. So when you see people come home and they look like they're adjusting to being home, somebody like me, I've been home 3 years from my second prison bit and what a lot of people don't know is that wasn't my second time being incarcerated. I have done all types of time since I was 11 or 12 years old. So I've done juveniles, boys homes, foster homes, all types of time, right? And in doing that time, and during that time, you start to make it okay. So I've done once again juvenile, foster home, boys homes, and I could name off the places: Star Commonwealth, Boysville, Children's Village, Wolverine, and then I went to the state prison. Even when I went to the state prison at 18, I was in a program called Supervised Independent Living and that was another institution because I had to report and do certain things, and it was like being on a tether almost and being on probation as an 18-year-old. So well, I got in the program at 17. So as a 17, 18-year-old, and then you start to realize like this is not normal. If you see kids now and in my adult age, I see kids and I say, dang, at their age, I was in somebody juvenile or I was in a foster home or I was this and my grip on reality has long gone away. So when people talk about being institutionalized, they joke about it now, but it's real like being institutionalized is real. And until you understand what institutionalism is and how it could have you just in a on a roller coaster and up and down and back and forth to prison and different institutions, and you you can't get away from certain things, like you can't change your past, right? So with this particular person and the way that they were handling it was to smoke a lot of weed and he like, "Man, I'm just self-medicating, but that's not really working. I don't feel healthy just doing that." And I'm like, the best advice I could give him was, seek some professional help. I'm not professional help. I can give you advice, but I am technically not professional help. And I don't pretend to be professional help. But this is real and you should never feel like you're going through something like that on your own because you look at somebody like me that appeared to have adjusted and I don't feel like I've adjusted. I have anxiety myself. Like I get in the car and I'm still worried about the feds following me. Like it's just real life. So the different things that you go through, as bad as you try to live with it, you can't get around it. You can live with it, but you can't get over it. And that is normal. I don't want people to feel like wallow is making millions of dollars a year, I should be making millions of dollars a year. Like, nah, Wallow had his own adjustment. Everyone will have their own adjustment because every situation is different. You may come home to your kids and your wife or whoever you were with before, and you may not. You may have to start over from a halfway house or some other type of uh, house that'll help you get readjusted. And you go through these things and you feel like it's the end of the world because you only know what you're living with. You only know what your situation is. So you don't know what other people are going through, and your situation sometimes seems unreal. But this is real life, and I'm telling you, if I could get my head together and make it through it, I feel like anybody can, especially people who have a real support system. And I won't say that I didn't have a real support system, but when I came home at 18, well, when I came home at 27, my support system was in the streets. So I ended up back in the streets. The people who were like, look, bro, I got you, they were still in the streets. So the people who were helping me get around before I got a car were still in the streets. The people that made sure I had a phone was still in the streets. The people that did for me was still in the streets. So I had that type of influence around me as fast as I came home. And just as fast as I landed on my feet, I was back throwing rocks at the prison. And this is something that people don't understand. If all you know is a certain lifestyle, then you cannot take away from that. Like you cannot say, well, you should go find new friends. Like it's not that easy. You could tell somebody, well, you shouldn't be around your woman if she like robbing banks. Like that's cool, but this is my woman. So people have to decide what's more important. Is it more important to stay free or is it more important to be friendly? Because if you are worried about what the next person thinks and you don't want to cut ties, you'll look up and you'll be right back in prison. And those same people won't write you, send you money, come visit you. So you have to think about what's most important. And I don't want to sit on here like super long, but I just wanted to talk to people. And even if you haven't been incarcerated, it's you have to understand that that's not normal and that you will have to adjust. It is just life. You cannot get around this. It's nothing normal about prison. It's nothing normal. Not it's not one thing that's normal about prison and you being stripped from society and your family and the people who love you and you being forced to just have a certain amount of time on the phone or a certain amount of time at a visit and your people may not be able to make it this week. And I was blessed on my fair bit that I just came home from, and my lady was up there all the time, and I had visits all the time. And as much as I'm a gangster, I needed that love. I needed to see my kids. It was times where I had the toughest week ever, and seeing my kids just made my week. So I understand how that feel. But coming home, you have to keep that in mind that you have something to live for, something to fight for, and you have somebody that's dependent on you, and that will give you the motivation that you need to keep pushing. And I don't care if it's your grandkids, I don't care if it's your nieces and nephews. Somebody is dependent on you. Somebody needs you to win for them to feel better. And you need to understand that because you feeling like you're alone and you can't do it, it'll lead to other stuff. You'll start abusing your body, abusing your mind, and even putting your life on the line. And you don't want to be that person in prison. You are literally by yourself. I don't care if you're in a car, that's what they call it in the feds, or if you're in a gang. There are times when you're alone. When you lay in that bed at night, you're alone. You have to think about whatever it is you did. You have to think about your plans for the future and you have to think about the people that you hurt, whether they are your victims or your family members. There are different type of victims in every situation. So you have victims of your crime. So in my crime, I could say, well, my victim, I didn't know my victim. I sold pills, but I've never sold pills to people that snort pills or take pills. I've sold pills in masses. So I could say, well, I don't know my victims. They don't know me. I didn't hurt anybody. But in reality, I had to accept the fact that I contributed to the opioid epidemic. It was, I had to accept that. And it don't mean that I had to be down on myself about it, but I had to be realistic and say that there are victims in everything. My kids were victims. And when people realize that and you say, dang, I'm not the only person suffering, you have to be honest about the way that your actions affect the people around you. So I had to be honest and say, man, I had a son that was born while I was incarcerated. And I would never wish that on anybody. I had my lady was about 4 or 5 months pregnant when I went in. So I went in July and I had a son in December, right? I had my youngest son in December, and I had to realize that that's not cool. Like, it's not cool that she had to have a kid by herself. I was there for the birth of all my other kids. I was there to wake up in the middle of the night, help. Like, I'm a real dad. Before I went on live, my son was just leaving the house and I was hugging and I love you and call me and all of that. Like, I'm a real dad. And for me to be in prison, everybody know I talked about my kids all the time and I just miss my kids. And that was something that I didn't have the first time. I did not have kids. I was a young wild dummy. So it was just me. I went in there and I did whatever I wanted to do. So me going into the feds with kids and a family to support, I went in and did the right thing because I didn't want to go in and lose good time. And my fiance had to be 3, 4, 5 months without me just because I wanted to do something stupid. It's already bad enough that I have a case, but I didn't want to be that person that makes my kids suffer any longer because I didn't want to change my attitude about things. Then coming home, you have to manage expectations. People will tell you anything, bro. I got you. Boy, when you touch down, I got you, my baby. I'm gonna make sure you good, and I got something for you. I'm gonna have a little honey bun for you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have a listen, man. People will tell you any motherfucking thing while you locked up. You have to prepare for you to come home and you to handle your business. Is no way around that. You have to prepare for you to come home and handle your business because you got you. Even if you think your woman or your man, depending on your situation, if you a female that went in there and you thinking, well, they got me, and that's you're in for a rude awakening most of the time. I'm not saying nobody ever keeps their word, but people will tell you anything while you're incarcerated. So you have to make sure that what you're doing is conducive to the future that you want. You have to in prison. So in prison, you have to plan it out. Let's say you plan it out a certain way, and then you have to make sure your actions are matching that plan. And coming home is not easy, especially when you come home to less than you went into. It's just not easy, but it's an adjustment. You have to adjust on your way in, you have to adjust when you come out. I spoke with Nathaniel Abraham. I used to play basketball with Nathaniel Abraham at Bellamy Creek, and Nate is back in prison, I believe. I'm actually gonna reach out to Nate on JPay. But me and Nate used to play basketball. Me and Nate we used to rap. I was still like not really battling on the yard, but I kick it with Nate. We, talk about rap a lot. And Nate, if you're not familiar with Nathaniel Abraham caught a murder case when he was 11 in Pontiac, and they gave him a lot of time as a juvenile. So they gave him like the juvenile time. I think he ended up doing about maybe like 8, 9 years or something. So he ended up getting out at like 21. I don't want to throw out all the numbers because I don't quite remember it. But when Nathaniel Abraham came home, he was on the news. They showed him in a mink. He went and did an interview with Oprah, and he had a lot of attention. And it was like, dang, Nate home. And I was familiar with the story because I was in juveniles and different things at the time, and you would hear about this juvenile fighting an adult case and different things like that. But when I finally met Nate, and like I'm telling you, I used to kick it with Nate, play cards with Nate, and we kick it, and Nate is a regular person. Like, Nate is not the person from the news. And they were talking about how Nate was illiterate at first and they couldn't do this and that. But when you hear the story from Nate, you could understand a lot of decisions that he made, even some of the decisions that he made while he's free. Like, Nate done had all kind of dumb cases. Like, he's had another dope case, then like an indecent exposure case, some other type of cases in Pontiac. And people make all of these judgments and they have all of these opinions, but until you talk to this man and you understand his story, you don't really understand what's going on. Nate told me, he said, "Listen, bro, I did 8, 9 years as a juvenile, whatever it was. I don't quite remember the numbers, but I did all that time. And then the time that he did was the time where trap music took off. And he was like, dude, I'm sitting here watching Jeezy and Get Money and Hoes on the Flow and all that." And he said, bro, I came home and I came home to a lot of attention, but no money. He said he came home to a lot of attention and no money. So he was on Oprah, but it's not like Oprah said, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a job working for my network. I'm gonna change your life." He like, "Listen, bro, I did all of that time. I'm watching all of these people ball out, and I'm coming home to mink and gators, and I go do this interview, and people are like, 'Dang, you on Oprah? You got some money?' And he like, and when I come home, is nothing really there." So he ended up selling pills or something, and he ended up catching a case. And people, "Oh man, Nate, stupid. You got off on, you got off good." Listen, y'all, prison ain't that. Y'all watching from a distance and y'all making all of these assessments and judgments of people. And this young man was incarcerated when he was 11 years old. He was 11 years old. It's different. It's being incarcerated as an 11-year-old is different, right? So it's a documentary on Netflix, right? And the documentary is about a young man that went to prison for something that he didn't do, and he ended up like fighting his case for years, right? And while he fighting his case, he's in there, and all you start seeing this dude going crazy in jail. He's fighting all the time. He going through all of this stuff in jail, and they're showing him go through all of this stuff, but they're not giving any type of context to what he's going through. And when you're watching from a distance, if you've never been incarcerated or you've never seen anything like this, you don't really get what's going on. But I'm watching this and like, dang, this guy is a kid and they put him in adult prison. And he's in adult prison basically fighting for his life all the time because he don't want to join certain gangs and he don't want to deal with certain people. He's stuck fighting this stuff. And I'm watching this story and I'm like, man, I just hope this ends well. And he got out. He got out of jail and they showing it how he's adjusting, and he went to college and he was a very smart kid. And it was different people that came along and they were helping him, and he killed himself. Now, I've never contemplated suicide, but I was like, I understand it. And I understand that everybody not me, everybody not for that. Not everyone is built for that. So when he's fighting this and he's doing all of this stuff and he's a kid in prison, in adult prison, and he's going in there fighting some of the most ruthless gangs in these prisons, and he handling himself. Like he's not in there, he's not no sucker. They're showing these files and these different videos, and he not no sucker. Like he not a sucker. He's in there handling his business. But everything weighs on you. Everything weighs on you. And until you are able to uh get everything straightened out in your head, you coming out here, they just throw you out here. They should give people some type of mental help on their way home from prison, but they don't. Everything is about a check. I've been to the state prison, I've been to the federal prison, and I'm telling you, they do not give you anything to help you readjust. They feel like we're going to open these gates and you should be back home acting like you never left. This is as real as it gets, y'all. Coming home from prison, I don't care if you did a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're gonna have to readjust, and it's okay. Don't be ashamed to ask for help because it's okay, and that could be monetary help, physical help, mental help, whatever type of help you need, it is okay. You are coming back from a traumatic experience that you may never get over. It's okay. Don't let people tell you that you have to be super strong and you shouldn't need help or you shouldn't, feel a certain way. about being incarcerated because people get locked up every day, B. It's not normal. Being incarcerated is not normal. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. If you need help, get some help. Whatever kind of help it is. Once again, it can be monetary, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever kind of help you need, please get it because it's okay. We are all readjusting. It's okay. I'm not going to keep y'all for too much longer. I just wanted to get on here and keep my promise. I told my guy, I said, man, I'm going to go live today and talk about it because I know people are going through that. It's okay, y'all. It's okay.